If you've ever wondered why dating feels impossible today, why good men are walking away, and why relationships keep falling apart, the answer isn't complicated. It's uncomfortable, and this video will show you why. Section 1. The collapse nobody wants to admit. Modern dating didn't just fall apart on its own. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't some mysterious shifting culture that nobody can explain. Dating collapsed because the rules changed, and the expectations changed even faster. And the people demanding the most from relationships are often the same ones giving the least in return. For years, men have been told they're the problem. Do better, be better, try harder. But the truth is much simpler. Dating used to be a partnership. Now it feels like a job interview where the man isn't applying for love, he's applying to prove he's worthy of basic respect. Ask any normal guy today how dating feels, and you'll get the same answer. Exhausting, confusing, unfair. Like no matter what he does, the bar gets moved again. Meanwhile, the behavior that ruins connections is defended, justified, and even celebrated. We live in a generation where effort is optional, but expectations are sky high. Kindness is seen as weakness, patience is taken advantage of, and masculinity, once respected, is treated like a flaw unless it's convenient. The collapse didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly, through endless mixed signals. Be a provider, but don't be traditional. Be confident, but not too confident. Treat me like a queen, but don't expect anything back. Men aren't confused, they're tired. The dating world today is built on contradictions that make real connection impossible. Many modern women say they want love, but their actions show they want validation. They want attention more than commitment. They want options more than loyalty. And they want the benefits of a relationship without the responsibilities that come with one. This is the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Modern dating didn't collapse because good men disappeared. It collapsed because the behavior that destroys relationships became normal, acceptable, and even encouraged. And this is only the beginning. Section 2. The I deserve better illusion. One of the biggest reasons dating is falling apart is the modern belief that I deserve better applies automatically, without effort, without sacrifice, and without self-reflection. It's become a default mindset, not something earned. Many modern women today are not comparing men to other real men. They're comparing them to a fantasy, a curated dream they see on TikTok, Instagram, or in romantic drama clips edited by people who don't live in the real world. So when a normal guy shows up, working hard, stable, honest, realistic, he isn't seen as a partner. He's seen as a disappointment compared to an imaginary man who doesn't actually exist. This is why the word settling gets thrown around so effortlessly. You could put a good, loyal, responsible man in front of someone, and she'll call him bare minimum, simply because he doesn't match the lifestyle trends she consumes online. The I deserve better illusion has convinced many women that their value automatically increases with age, with career success, with confidence slogans, but not necessarily with what they bring to a relationship. Here's the contradiction men notice. They want a high-earning man, but won't contribute financially. They want a fit man, but refuse to work on their own health. They want emotional maturity, but block ghost and avoid accountability. They want loyalty, but keep multiple options just in case. And somehow, all of this is labeled empowerment. What men see is simple: expectations rising, effort dropping. The relationship becomes a one-way street where the man is supposed to upgrade every part of himself while she refuses to change anything. This isn't partnership, it's entitlement disguised as confidence. And the saddest part, it blinds many women to the good men right in front of them, the ones who would have gladly built a life with them. Not because those men aren't enough, but because the illusion convinced them they were built for something better. This mindset didn't just raise standards, it destroyed them. Section 3. Social media warped everything. If there's one force that completely rewired modern dating, it's social media. It didn't just change how people communicate, it changed how they value each other. It reshaped self-worth, expectations, and even the definition of what a good partner looks like. Before social media, attraction was based on real interaction, chemistry, connection, personality. Now, it's about angles, filters, and engagement metrics. Dating isn't about finding someone anymore. It's about looking like you could do better. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok created a constant highlight reel where everyday life looks boring and good men look not enough. Women scroll through clips of lavish vacations, luxury gifts, six-figure lifestyles, and then compare those fantasy moments to the regular man who's actually trying. And regular men never win against fantasy. Modern dating became a competition, not a connection. Everything is judged publicly. How you dress, how you speak, where you go, what you post, how often you respond, how much attention you give. Some women today are dating for aesthetic, not for commitment. It's not do I love him, it's will he look good on my feed? Will my friends approve? Will this relationship boost my image? And because social media rewards drama, negativity and complaints, modern dating became a stage for public validation. A guy is one mistake away from becoming a story, a rant or a screenshot shared to hundreds of people. Men feel this pressure, they feel watched, judged, and it makes dating feel like a performance instead of a relationship. The saddest part, social media didn't just inflate expectations, it erased appreciation. Small gestures don't matter because they're not viral. Consistency doesn't matter because it's not flashy. Good character doesn't matter because it doesn't get likes. Meanwhile, the loudest voices online encourage women to expect more while giving less to chase fictional men while ignoring real ones. Social media didn't just change dating, it distorted reality. Section 4. Dating apps turned connection into a marketplace. Dating apps were supposed to make love easier. Instead, they turned human connection into a numbers game, cold, fast, and brutally superficial. What used to take real interaction now gets judged in half a second with one swipe, and that tiny motion changed everything. Apps didn't just give people options, they created the illusion of unlimited options. Suddenly a normal man isn't compared to other real men, he's compared to the top 1% of men who dominate every woman's feed. The richest, tallest, most attractive profiles rise to the top, and the algorithm pushes average men to the bottom. This creates a dangerous mindset for many modern women. If I can swipe a little longer, maybe I'll find someone even better. Connection is replaced with shopping. People aren't dates anymore, they're inventory. And because apps run on dopamine, not romance, many women don't even use them to find a partner. They use them for validation. They match to feel desired. They swipe to feel powerful. They talk to men they'll never meet just to fill boredom. Meanwhile, men face a very different reality. Thousands of swipes, barely any matches, and even fewer conversations. It feels like begging for attention in a place designed to ignore them. Apps also made ghosting normal, made flakiness expected, made respect optional. Why? Because when people think they can replace someone instantly, they stop valuing anyone. What used to require effort, showing interest, building chemistry, giving commitment, got replaced by endless scrolling and instant dismissal. Dating apps didn't ruin romance by accident. They rewired behavior, they inflated egos, they punished effort, they rewarded shallow choices. And they taught an entire generation that people are disposable, replaceable, and never good enough. Good men feel this, good women feel this too, but the truth is undeniable. Apps turn dating into a marketplace where connection doesn't matter, only options do. Section 5. The double standards that exhaust men. Modern dating isn't failing because men don't try, it's failing because the rules men are expected to follow change depending on the moment, the mood, or the trend. The double standards are everywhere, and men feel them more than ever. Many modern women expect men to be traditional providers, pay for dates, take the lead, plan everything, protect, pursue, and prove. But the moment a man asks for anything traditional in return, loyalty, respect, kindness, femininity, suddenly he's controlling, insecure, or old-fashioned. It's a one-way street dressed up as empowerment. Men are told to be emotionally open but lose attraction the moment they show real vulnerability. Men are expected to be confident, but get labelled arrogant when they actually are. Men should pursue consistently, but not too much, or it's clingy. Men should give attention but only when it's wanted, because if it's not, it's pressure. A man planning dates is romantic. A man asking for effort back is demanding. A woman can say, I only date tall men, but if a man says, I prefer a fit woman, he's shamed instantly. These contradictions aren't small, they create an impossible situation. Men aren't walking into relationships anymore. They're walking into a maze where every step can be judged, misinterpreted, or punished depending on how someone feels that day. Even communication has double standards. If she takes hours to reply, she's busy. If he takes hours to reply, he's losing interest. If she has boundaries, she's empowered. If he has boundaries, he's toxic. It's not equality. It's not fairness. It's selective accountability. And what exhausts men most isn't the effort. It's realizing that no amount of effort can overcome rules that only apply to one side. These double standards aren't just annoying. They're destroying trust, connection, and the willingness to even try. Section 6. Accountability has left the building. One of the biggest reasons dating feels impossible today is that accountability has practically disappeared. Not from men. Men get blamed for everything, but from modern women who've been told that any criticism, any feedback, any request for effort is automatically an attack. Instead of taking responsibility, many now hide behind trendy therapy language that turns normal relationship problems into psychological crimes. A man says, "Can you communicate better?" She says he's emotionally manipulating. A man says, "I want consistency." She says he's controlling. A man says, "That behavior hurt me." She says he's projecting. Arguments aren't arguments anymore, they're accusations. Even basic accountability is labeled toxic. Even gentle correction becomes shaming. Even reasonable expectations become misogyny. This mindset creates a world where nothing is ever their fault. Ghosting is protecting my peace. Flaking is listening to my intuition. Rudeness is setting boundaries. Selfishness is self-love. And because society rewards this kind of language, it becomes a shield that lets people avoid responsibility while feeling morally superior. Here's the truth men quietly see. You cannot fix a relationship with someone who refuses to admit they did anything wrong. You cannot build trust with someone who reframes every disagreement as harm. You cannot grow with someone who treats accountability like an insult. Accountability isn't cruelty, it's maturity. But today maturity is rare because it requires self-reflection. It requires humility. It requires saying, maybe I contributed to this problem. And many modern women would rather rewrite the story than face that possibility. So what happens? Men stop bringing things up. Men stop communicating. Men stop trying to solve issues. Not because they don't care, but because every conversation turns into a battle they can't win. A relationship can survive mistakes. It cannot survive someone who believes they never make any. Section 7. How good women are getting hurt too. There's a truth most people ignore when talking about modern dating. Not all women are the problem. In fact, many good women are suffering just as much as men, maybe even more. They're stuck in a culture that rewards the worst behavior and overshadows the women who actually want healthy, balanced relationships. These good women show up with effort. They communicate. They value loyalty, kindness, and partnership. They don't play games, they don't chase attention, and they don't treat dating like a competition. But they get drowned out by the louder majority, the ones who treat men like accessories, throw around buzzwords as weapons, and expect everything while offering very little. Because of this, good women get mislabeled. They're called pick-me's for being caring. They're called desperate for wanting commitment. They're called old-fashioned for valuing partnership. They're teased for cooking, supporting, contributing, or simply appreciating a man. And men notice this. After being burned enough times, many men become cautious, guarded, and uninterested in trying again. They assume every woman will behave like the last one. They stop believing kindness is real. They start expecting disappointment. And when a genuinely good woman shows up, she pays for damage she didn't cause. That's the tragedy of modern dating. The worst behavior created fear, and that fear now blocks the best women from being recognized. Good women watch men withdraw and blame themselves. They wonder why good men don't commit or pursue anymore. They don't realize those men have walked through fire and are tired of getting burned. In another era, these women would already be married, respected, loved, and building families. But in today's dating market, they're often overlooked because chaos is louder than character. Men aren't avoiding these women, they just don't know they exist anymore. Not because they're hiding, but because modern dating buried them under noise, trends, and entitlement. And both sides are losing because of it. Section 8. Why men are quietly walking away. Men aren't leaving dating because they hate women. They're leaving because the cost no longer makes sense. For decades, men were told to keep trying, keep proving themselves, keep chasing love, even when the reward was shrinking and the risks kept rising. But this new generation of men is different. They're logical, observant, and willing to walk away from a bad deal. And modern dating for many has become exactly that, a bad deal. Men today see the sharp contrast between what they are expected to give and what they receive in return. They notice the entitlement, the flakiness, the contradictions, the disrespect, the lack of reciprocity, and slowly men have learned something powerful. Peace is better than forced partnership. Freedom is better than walking on eggshells. Solitude is better than emotional minefields. Instead of chasing relationships that drain them, men are choosing to build their careers, their bodies, their finances, their skills. They're traveling, investing, enjoying their hobbies, and building lives that don't revolve around convincing someone to appreciate them. Some men explore dating overseas where femininity, warmth, and reciprocity still exist. Some choose casual dating with boundaries. Some go completely solo and feel happier than ever. What scares modern women the most is this. Men aren't bluffing anymore. They're not waiting around. They're not afraid of being alone, because being alone today isn't lonely, it's peaceful. And every year, more men realize that staying single might actually be the smarter, safer, healthier option. Not because they gave up on love, but because the modern dating environment punishes the very qualities that make men great partners: consistency, protection, loyalty, and effort. When good men walk away, it's not weakness, it's self-preservation. And unless something changes, this quiet exodus is only going to grow, because once a man experiences a life without drama, chaos, or double standards, it becomes very hard to return to a world full of them. Second 9. The hard truth modern women refuse to accept. There's a truth in modern dating that almost nobody wants to say out loud, because the moment you say it, people get defensive, angry, or offended. But avoiding reality doesn't change it. Here's the truth. You cannot demand traditional benefits while rejecting traditional responsibilities. You cannot expect a man to provide, protect, lead, stay loyal, stay patient, and stay committed, while giving the bare minimum in return. You cannot spend your 20s chasing validation, attention, and options, then expect a high-value man to appear at 35 and be grateful for the opportunity. You cannot treat dating like a competition, men like utilities, relationships like trophies, and then complain when good men stop showing up. The hard truth is this: many modern women are overpricing themselves in a market they don't understand. Not because they have no value, every human has value, but because their relationship value is not based on their job title, social media following, confident slogans, or lifestyle illusions. It's based on the qualities that actually matter in a partnership. Femininity, kindness, loyalty, support, cooperation, appreciation. These qualities have become rare, not because women can't provide them, but because culture teaches them they shouldn't. That offering anything to a man is weakness. That compromise is oppression. That partnership is settling. Meanwhile, their expectations continue climbing. The truth modern women refuse to face is simple. If your standards require a top-level man, your behavior must match what top-level men actually want. And here's the part that stings. Many modern women want men they would never qualify for. If men judge women the same way women judge men, this isn't misogyny, this is economics, this is psychology, this is reality. A relationship is a mutual exchange, not a charity program. And until modern women accept that love requires giving as much as they expect to receive, dating will continue collapsing because the math simply doesn't work anymore. Section 10. What happens next? The future of dating. If the dating world keeps moving in the same direction, the future is going to look very different from anything we've seen before, and the signs are already here. Marriage rates are dropping every year, birth rates are collapsing worldwide, more men are staying single by choice, not failure, and women are beginning to feel the consequences of a dating market they helped create. The next decade will bring a massive shift. We're going to see a generation where long-term relationships become rare, families form later if at all, and situationships replace real commitments. Many women will hit their 30s and 40s, shocked that the men they once ignored are no longer available, or no longer interested in dealing with modern dating expectations. On the other side, men will continue choosing freedom. They'll invest in themselves, build their own lives, travel and pursue peace. The fear of being alone will fade, replaced with confidence. Men will realize they don't need relationships to feel successful, fulfilled, or respected. We'll also see more international relationships. Not because men can't handle strong women, but because men want appreciation, cooperation, and femininity, qualities that still exist in cultures untouched by the entitlement and contradictions dominating the Western dating scene. Good women will adapt too. They'll separate themselves from the chaos. They'll embrace partnership, reciprocity, and accountability. They'll reject the toxic dating advice that ruined the current generation. And those women, balanced, supportive, feminine, realistic, will be the most valued. The women who refuse to change, however, will face harsh outcomes. Endless swiping, repeated heartbreak, shrinking options, growing resentment toward men who simply walked away. But none of this is surprising. Any system built on unrealistic expectations eventually collapses, and modern dating is no different. The future belongs to the people who stop participating in dysfunctional behavior and start choosing relationships based on mutual respect, not fantasy, ego, or validation. Men have already begun walking this path, and the world is about to feel the shift. Sex 11. Final message to men and to the reasonable women. At the end of the day, modern dating didn't collapse because men stopped caring, or because women became independent. It collapsed because the balance, the reciprocity, the respect, the teamwork disappeared. And without those, no relationship can survive. To the men listening, your boundaries matter, your peace matters, your effort matters. You are not wrong for wanting respect, loyalty, softness, and appreciation. You are not toxic for walking away from drama, mixed signals, or entitlement. And you are not weak for choosing solitude over a relationship that drains your spirit. A good relationship should feel like support, not stress. Like partnership, not punishment. Like peace, not anxiety. Never apologize for protecting your life from people who don't value it. And to the good women, because there are many of you, this message is for you too. You are not the problem. You are not the enemy. You are not invisible. Even if it sometimes feels that way, the world may reward toxicity, but real men still recognize kindness. Real men still value loyalty. Real men still want partnership, not competition. The behavior of the loud minority does not define you, even if it makes dating harder for you. Keep your standards, keep your softness, keep your femininity. They are not weaknesses, they are rare strengths in a world obsessed with ego. But here is the truth both sides need to hear. Healthy relationships require two people willing to grow, contribute, communicate, and respect each other, not one person giving everything while the other demands more. Modern dating may be broken, but it doesn't mean real connection is dead. It just means the people capable of building something meaningful have to rise above the noise, the trends, and the entitlement. Men who choose themselves will thrive. Women who choose accountability will stand out. And only those two groups, the balanced, the reasonable, the mature, will build the relationships that last. The chaos may be loud, but wisdom is quiet. And if you're listening to this, you're already ahead of the collapse. If you're a man who's tired of games, tired of double standards, and tired of giving more than you get, hit that subscribe button. This channel exists to give you clarity, truth, and the mindset you need to protect your peace. Drop your thoughts below, share your experience, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay sharp.